The stars twinkled peacefully above the International Space Station as Commander James Walker completed his routine systems check. After 15 years of space missions, he thought he had seen everything space could offer. He was wrong. The first sign that something was different came when all their communications went dead. Not just the radio, everything. Even the backup systems showed nothing but static. Walker floated to the observation window, and his heart nearly stopped. A massive ship hung in space less than a kilometer away. It was sleek, silver, and clearly not human-made. Its surface sparkled with lights that pulsed in patterns he had never seen before. The ship was at least 10 times bigger than the ISS. Everyone to the main observation deck now. Walker called through the station's intercom. The crew of 6 gathered quickly, their faces showing a mixture of fear and amazement as they stared at the alien vessel. On Earth, chaos erupted. Every major observatory had spotted the massive ship, and soon, videos flooded the internet. Military bases worldwide went on high alert, but their commanders held their fire, knowing that anything capable of interstellar travel could probably swat their missiles aside like flies. The alien ship projected a massive hologram visible from both the ISS and Earth's surface. A figure appeared, humanoid but clearly not human, with metallic-looking skin and eyes that glowed like distant stars. People of Earth, the figure spoke in perfect English, its voice somehow reaching every radio, television, and mobile device worldwide. We are the collective, and we have come to evaluate your civilization. Walker watched as more ships appeared, smaller but equally impressive. They positioned themselves around Earth like a net, their intentions clear. No one was going anywhere without their permission. Your species has been observed for some time, the alien continued. We have watched your wars, your pollution, your primitive attempts at space travel. Your use of nuclear weapons, though limited, marks you as potentially dangerous, yet technologically immature. World leaders scrambled to respond, but the aliens ignored their transmissions. The collective had not come to negotiate. They had come to dictate terms. The Galactic Council has determined that Earth requires guidance. You will be given 2 options: accept our rule and eventual integration into the collective, or face complete isolation from galactic society. Your primitive technology and resources hold little value, but your strategic location near several important trade routes makes this sector too important to ignore. In Washington, Moscow, Beijing, and every other capital, emergency meetings convened. Military commanders argued for immediate action, while diplomats pleaded for caution. The aliens had revealed humanity's true position in the cosmic hierarchy, and it was far lower than anyone had imagined. But they had made one crucial mistake. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, in bunkers that hadn't been opened for thousands of years, ancient systems began to hum to life. In a hidden facility under the Antarctic ice, long-dormant computers registered the alien presence and initiated protocols set in motion by humanity's forgotten ancestors. Commander Walker, still watching from the ISS, noticed something strange. For just a moment, his tablet displayed a message that shouldn't have been possible with all communications jammed. Kiro totiko ulfo inix ionita hedi. Stand by for instructions. The message vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving Walker wondering if he had imagined it. But in similar facilities around the world, other chosen individuals received the same message. Humanity's response to the collective's ultimatum was about to begin, and the aliens would soon learn that appearances could be deceiving. The collective had made their judgment based on what they could see: satellites, rockets, and surface-level technology. They never thought to look deeper. They never considered that Earth's apparent weakness might be a carefully constructed facade, hiding something far more powerful beneath. Their mistake would soon shake the very foundations of the galaxy. Dr. Alice Reed hadn't slept in 36 hours. The quantum physics lab beneath MIT had become her second home since the aliens arrived. But today was different. Today, she had found something impossible. Run the scan again, she told her computer. The results didn't change. Deep beneath their feet, something was giving off energy readings that shouldn't exist on Earth. While the world's governments argued about the collective's ultimatum above ground, Alice grabbed her coat and a flashlight. The secret elevator required both her keycard and fingerprint, taking her deeper underground than any official MIT blueprint showed. The corridor she entered was ancient, yet it hummed with power. The walls were made of a material she had never seen before, black as night, but somehow glowing with a faint blue light. As she walked forward, lines of text appeared on the walls, written in every human language. "Welcome, Guardian," the text read. "The time has come." In similar facilities around the world, other scientists received their own calls to action. Under the pyramids of Egypt, beneath Mount Fuji in Japan, and in the depths of the Amazon rainforest, hidden doors opened for the first time in millennia. Alice's hands shook as she entered a vast chamber. Rows of sleek machines lined the walls, covered in a thin layer of dust, but otherwise perfectly preserved. At the center stood a holographic projector that activated as she approached. The image showed Earth as it had been 10,000 years ago. A civilization far more advanced than their own had flourished, but they had seen something coming, a threat from the stars. Instead of fighting, they had hidden their technology and merged with the planet's primitive humans, becoming their ancestors. They knew, Alice whispered. They knew the collective would come one day. Her phone buzzed. Somehow, it worked down here despite being hundreds of feet underground. The message was from General Thompson at the Pentagon. "Dr. Reed, are you seeing this too?" Before she could reply, the hologram changed. It showed detailed schematics for weapons that could disable starships without destroying them, shields that could withstand any known weapon, and engines that could bend space itself. "Our gift to you," the hologram explained, "is not just technology. It is knowledge of how to use it without losing your humanity. The collective believes in absolute control. They cannot imagine a species choosing to hide its power, to grow slowly and naturally while keeping its greatest achievements secret." More messages poured in from around the world. In Russia, they had found a facility containing advanced AI systems. China reported discovering quantum computing cores beyond anything currently possible. Europe had uncovered massive manufacturing plants, dormant but ready. The ancient humans had hidden their legacy in plain sight, disguising their facilities as natural formations or building them into existing structures. They had also left something else, a warning. "The collective does not seek allies," the hologram continued. "They seek servants. We chose to hide and wait rather than fight them unprepared. Now our children are ready." Alice watched in amazement as the machines around her came to life. They responded to her presence, to her very thoughts. The technology had been designed to work only with human DNA, only with human brainwaves. Above ground, the collected ships maintained their threatening positions around Earth. They watched for missile launches, for primitive nuclear weapons, for all the things they expected from a barbaric species. They didn't notice the subtle energy signatures beginning to pulse from points all around the globe. Humanity had just found its teeth, and soon, very soon, they would show the galaxy that appearances could be deceiving. The time for hiding was over. In her lab, Alice smiled as she sent a message to General Thompson. "Tell them to stall the collective. We're going to need about a week to wake everything up." The real question was no longer whether humanity would survive. The question was whether the galaxy was ready for what humanity was about to become. General Michael Thompson stood in the underground war room, watching dozens of holographic screens showing similar bunkers worldwide. 1 week had passed since Dr. Reed's discovery, and Earth was quietly awakening. "Status report," he commanded, his voice carrying to military leaders across the globe through the ancient communication network that the collective couldn't detect. "Russian teams have successfully activated the Siberian production facility," reported General Petrov from Moscow. "The AI systems are manufacturing faster than we imagined possible. Chinese quantum cores are online, added Admiral Lai. "We're producing computing power that makes our best supercomputers look like pocket calculators." Above ground, Earth maintained its appearance of fear and submission. The collected ships still hovered threateningly, watching for any sign of resistance. Their sensors detected nothing unusual, exactly as planned. In the Antarctic facility, Thompson walked past rows of newly constructed fighters. They looked deceptively simple, but each one could outmaneuver anything the collective had shown so far. The ships were small, built for human pilots whose brainwaves could interface directly with the ancient technology. "Sir," a young technician called out, "you need to see this." The screen showed live feeds from training sessions worldwide. Pilots from every nation were learning to fly the new ships. Russian pilots' natural toughness made them perfect for the heavy assault craft. Chinese pilots excelled with the swift interceptors. American pilots showed remarkable adaptability with the multi-role fighters. Each nation brought its own strengths to the force they were building. The ancient ones knew what they were doing, Dr. Reed said, joining Thompson at the display. "They didn't just give us technology, they gave us technology that would work better if we worked together." The general nodded. For the first time in human history, every nation was working as one. Old enemies shared resources and knowledge. Former rivals trained together. The collective's threat had achieved what nothing else could: true global unity. In India, engineers had mastered the shield technology, improving it beyond the original designs. Brazilian scientists had decoded the quantum communication systems. Canadian teams had perfected the stealth systems. Every nation, large and small, contributed something unique to humanity's response. "How are we handling the space station situation?" Thompson asked. "Commander Walker and his crew are playing their part perfectly," Dr. Reed replied. "The collective thinks they're just scared astronauts. They don't realize the ISS is now our forward observation post." The ancient bunkers had also revealed another surprise: a complete map of collective territory and weaknesses. The old ones had spent years gathering intelligence before choosing to hide. Now that information would help humanity strike back. "Time estimate?" Thompson asked his global command staff. "Production facilities are at full capacity," reported the European commander. "Fleet will be ready in 48 hours. Ground defenses are already operational." Thompson allowed himself a small smile. The collective had given Earth 2 weeks to formally submit to their rule. They thought they were being generous. In reality, they had given humanity exactly the time needed to prepare. "Begin Phase 2, Thompson ordered. "Maintain surface appearances, but get our people into position. When the collective demands our answer, they're going to get one they didn't expect." Around the world, ships moved silently through underground hangars. Soldiers trained with weapons that could disable collective technology. Scientists refined systems that had been waiting millennia for this moment. The collective thought they were watching a primitive species cower in fear. Instead, they were watching humanity's greatest performance, playing weak while preparing the greatest military surprise in galactic history. In 2 days, the galaxy would learn an important lesson: never mistake patience for weakness, and never underestimate humanity's ability to unite against a common threat. Captain Tom Roberts sat in the cockpit of his fighter, hidden in one of the massive underground hangars beneath the Rocky Mountains. The ship responded to his thoughts as if it were part of his own body. Around him, 300 similar craft waited in perfect silence. "All units, final check," he said through the neural link that connected all Earth's forces. "Remember your training. Remember the plan." Above ground, the collective's massive ships moved toward the moon. Their leader's hologram appeared worldwide again. "Your time for consideration has ended. We will establish our base on your moon as the first step of your integration into the collective." In the International Space Station, Commander Walker watched the alien ships approach. He knew what was coming. His crew had spent the last 2 weeks pretending to be terrified, while secretly preparing the station's hidden weapons. The first collective ship reached the moon's orbit. Then it happened. The ship hit what looked like empty space and stopped. Their sensors hadn't detected anything, but an invisible shield now surrounded Earth and its moon. The collective ships fired their weapons, but the energy blasts simply disappeared into the barrier. Now, General Thompson's voice echoed through the neural network. The underground hangar doors opened silently. Roberts led his squadron straight up, their ships cloaked with technology that made them invisible to both eyes and sensors. Similar scenes played out at bases worldwide. Humanity's hidden fleet rising to strike. The collective ships never saw them coming. Roberts' squadron struck first. Their weapons didn't destroy the alien ships, they disabled them. Systems went dark. Engines failed. The mighty vessels hung helpless in space. This is impossible. The collective commander's voice boomed across all channels. You are primitives. You have no such technology. You should have looked deeper, Walker responded from the ISS, which now glowed with power from its activated ancient systems. Humanity isn't what you thought we were. The space around Earth came alive with activity. Hundreds of human ships appeared, their designs unlike anything the collective had seen. They were smaller than the alien vessels, but incredibly fast and maneuverable. Each one responded perfectly to its pilot's thoughts, making them more agile than any automated system. The collective's moon base never even got started. Their ships, designed to fight large-scale battles against known enemies, couldn't track the smaller, faster human vessels. One by one, they went dark. Boarding teams, move in, Roberts ordered. Teams of soldiers, wearing powered armor that had been waiting in those ancient vaults, transported onto the disabled collective ships. The aliens surrendered quickly, shocked by the humans' advanced technology. In just 30 minutes, Earth had captured the entire collective fleet sent to subjugate them. Not a single ship had been destroyed, and no lives had been lost on either side. It was a display not just of power, but of precision and mercy. Walker looked out from the ISS at the disabled collective ships. Some of Earth's vessels were now visible, their sleek designs reflecting the sunlight. They looked both beautiful and dangerous, much like humanity itself. Send the message, General Thompson commanded from Earth. Every screen, every communication device in the collective's vast empire received the same transmission. This was your only warning. Earth is not weak. We are not primitive. We chose peace, but we prepared for war. Remember this day. Remember what happened when you tried to enslave humanity. The collective's leaders were about to face an uncomfortable truth. They hadn't discovered Earth. Earth had allowed itself to be discovered. And now, humanity was ready to take its place among the stars. In his fighter, Roberts smiled. This was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to learn that underestimating humanity had been the greatest mistake they could have made. News traveled fast across the galaxy. On 1,000 worlds, beings of all species watched recordings of Earth's victory. The mighty collective fleet, defeated in minutes by ships that seemed to appear from nowhere. It was impossible. It was inspiring. It was terrifying. Dr. Alice Reed stood in her lab, studying the captured collective technology. Their ships were impressive, but nowhere near as advanced as they claimed. The collective had relied on intimidation as much as actual power. "Doctor, you need to see this," her assistant called out. On the screen, signals poured in from across the galaxy. Other species were reaching out to Earth, secretly at first, then more openly. They had all suffered under the collective's rule. The collective's response came 3 days after their defeat at Earth, a fleet 10 times larger than the first appeared at the edge of the solar system. Their new commander's message was brief. Your defiance ends now. But Earth was ready. When the collective ships fired their weapons, something strange happened. Their energy beams twisted in space, missing their targets entirely. Human scientists had spent the last 3 days studying the captured ships, learning everything about how their weapons worked. Interesting discovery, Dr. Reed reported to General Thompson. Their technology can't adapt to changes. They've used the same systems for so long, they'd forgotten how to innovate. The proof was in the battle above Earth. The human fleet moved in patterns the collective's targeting computers couldn't understand. Their ship's neural interfaces let human pilots make decisions faster than any AI. You rely too much on machines. Thompson's message went out to the collective fleet. We learn to work with our technology, not just use it. The collective commander watched in horror as his fleet's weapon systems failed completely. Human ships had broadcast a signal that turned their own energy shields against them. It was like nothing they'd seen in 10,000 years of space warfare. On a dozen occupied worlds, rebellion broke out. Species that had lived under collective rule for centuries saw hope for the first time. They'd watched humans defeat their oppressors twice. The message was clear. The collective wasn't invincible. We're receiving transmissions from resistance groups on 47 planets, reported Commander Walker from the upgraded ISS. They want to know how we did it. They want to learn. In her lab, Dr. Reed made another discovery. The ancient humans' technology responded uniquely to human brainwaves. The collective couldn't copy their ships or weapons because they literally couldn't operate them. Humanity's edge wasn't just technological, it was biological. The second collective fleet retreated, but not before 7 of their largest ships were captured. Inside them, Earth's forces found databases containing the locations of every collective military base and shipyard. They never expected to be defeated, Reed explained to the United Earth Council. So they never bothered to encrypt their most important information. Across the galaxy, the balance of power shifted. The collective had ruled through fear and the illusion of overwhelming strength. Now that illusion was shattered. Their own subject species rose against them, using tactics they'd learned from watching Earth's victory. In just 1 week, humanity had gone from a primitive species to the greatest threat the collective had ever faced. But Earth's leaders knew this was just the beginning. The real war was about to start. Send word to our new allies, General Thompson ordered. Tell them to be ready. Phase 3 begins tomorrow. The galaxy was about to learn another lesson about humanity. They didn't just fight to defend themselves. They fought to free others. And they were very, very good at fighting. Admiral Linda Martinez stood on the bridge of the Earth's first battleship, the Phoenix Rising. The massive vessel had been built in just 2 weeks, combining ancient technology with modern human innovations. Around her ship, a fleet of over 1,000 vessels prepared for humanity's first major offensive. Operation Starburst is now active, she announced through the neural network. All ships, prepare for FTL jump. The collective had ruled 3,000 worlds through fear and overwhelming force. Today, that would begin to change. Earth's forces had chosen 3 star systems for their first attack, each one home to a species that had already begun fighting back against their oppressors. Jump in 3, 2, 1. Space twisted around the human fleet. The ancient drives worked perfectly, moving them across light years in seconds. They emerged above a planet called Nexus Prime, home to a species that had been fighting the collective for decades. The collective's defense fleet there was massive, but they were looking in the wrong direction. They had their weapons aimed at the planet's surface, keeping the population in line. They never expected an attack from behind. All ships, execute Pattern Omega, Martinez ordered. The human fleet split into 3 groups, using maneuvers that looked chaotic, but followed a precise plan. Captain Roberts led the fighter squadrons, their smaller ships darting between the massive collective vessels. Remember, Martinez broadcast to all ships, we disable, not destroy. Every ship we capture is one we can use to help others. The battle was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships seemed to appear and disappear at will, their advanced stealth systems making them impossible to track. The neural interfaces let human pilots react faster than any computer, turning space combat into something that looked almost like a dance. On the planet's surface, the imprisoned species watched in amazement. The collective ships, which had terrorized them for generations, were being systematically taken apart by these newcomers from Earth. Second target is clear. reported General Thompson from Earth Command. The Liberation Fleet at Alpha Centauri has already captured their orbital stations. Third Fleet reports similar success at Gamma Point. In just 6 hours, humanity had liberated 3 star systems. But they weren't just freeing worlds. They were teaching others to fight back. Each captured ship was turned over to the local resistance movements, along with training on how to use it. "We're receiving new signals," Martinez's communications officer reported. 7 more systems are reporting full-scale rebellions. The collective's control is breaking down faster than we expected. The ancient humans had left more than just technology in those underground vaults. They had left detailed records of every species the collective had enslaved, every weakness in their empire, and every strategy they used to maintain control. "Send in the support teams," Martinez ordered. Earth had prepared for this, loading their ships with supplies, medical equipment, and tools that the freed worlds would need. They weren't just defeating the collective. They were helping their victims rebuild. The Phoenix Rising sensors detected more collective ships arriving from nearby systems. But these ships did something unexpected. They surrendered immediately. Their crews had seen what happened to those who fought back against Earth's forces. "Message from Earth Command," her officer called out. "Phase 4 is authorized. We're to proceed to the collective's core worlds." Martinez smiled. The collective had spent millennia building their empire through fear and intimidation. Now they were learning what real power looked like, not just the ability to destroy, but the willingness to help others fight for their freedom. "All ships," she broadcast, "prepare for next jump. We're taking this all the way to their front door." The galaxy was changing, and humanity was leading that change. The collective was about to learn their final lesson. Never start a fight you're not prepared to finish. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council looked different now. Where once the collective's representatives had dominated the massive chamber, today species from 100 liberated worlds filled the seats. At the center of it all stood Ambassador David Anderson, Earth's first representative to the Council. "The old era ends today," Anderson announced, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. "And a new one begins." Just 3 months had passed since Earth's first contact with the collective. In that time, humanity had not only defended itself, but had helped free over 500 worlds. The collective's mighty empire had crumbled in weeks once their iron grip was broken. Dr. Reed stood beside Anderson, her research team having made another breakthrough. "We've confirmed what the ancient records suggested," she told the assembled representatives. The collective didn't create most of their technology. They stole it from other species, then destroyed the evidence. On the massive screens around the chamber, images showed the truth. The collective had spent thousands of years conquering younger civilizations, taking their innovations, and then forcing them into submission. They had grown powerful not through their own achievement, but by stealing the achievements of others. "Earth proposes a new way forward," Anderson continued. "Not an empire, but a true alliance. Each species contributing its own strengths, its own innovations, its own unique perspective." The hall erupted in approval. Species that had been enemies under collective rule were now working together. Earth's example, defeating a superior force through cleverness and cooperation, had shown them a better path. Commander Walker, now Admiral Walker, reported from the former collective capital world. "The last holdouts have surrendered," he announced. "Their leadership is in custody. They'll face trial for their crimes against all species." But humanity's victory hadn't been about revenge. In the liberated systems, Earth's ships had brought not just freedom but help. Medical supplies, food, technology to rebuild. They had shown the galaxy that true strength came not from domination, but from helping others rise. The ancient humans who hid their technology made a wise choice, Anderson told the Council. They knew that power without wisdom leads to destruction. They waited until we were ready, not just ready to fight, but ready to lead responsibly. The council chambers themselves symbolized the change. The collective symbols of power had been replaced with artworks from 100 worlds. The hierarchical seating that had put conquered species below their rulers was gone, replaced by a circular arrangement where all were equal. "We propose a new galactic charter," Anderson announced, "one that protects the rights of all species, that encourages cooperation instead of competition, that values diversity instead of demanding conformity." General Thompson, watching from Earth, smiled as the council voted. The vote was unanimous. Every species, even those who had once been bitter enemies, agreeing to the new charter. The galaxy was entering a new age. The ancient humans' technology was being shared, carefully and responsibly, with species who would use it wisely. Trade routes were reopening, this time benefiting all worlds equally. Cultural exchanges were beginning, bringing new ideas and innovations. "Look how far we've come," Dr. Reed said, standing at a window that showed the stars. 3 months ago, they thought we were primitive savages. Now we're helping build a new galactic civilization. Earth had done more than prove its strength. It had shown the galaxy a better way forward. The species that had once cowered under collective rule were standing tall, proud of their unique identities, ready to contribute to a greater whole. "The stars belong to all of us now," Anderson concluded. "And together, we'll build something greater than any empire. We'll build a future worthy of all our peoples." The galaxy had learned its lesson. Never judge a species by appearances alone. And humanity had learned its own lesson. True strength lies not in power itself, but in how that power is used to help others.